So, hello. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you're not new here, thank you for coming back. I appreciate you. I really want to talk about some stuff. This is going to be a free-flowing video. I didn't take notes. I don't have notes. But I want to talk about hater energy. I want to talk about, like, jealousy and envy for a little bit and, like, things related to it. Because on my path, I've noticed a lot of people, and you can think whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want. That's fine. I encourage free will. I encourage free thought. Because I used to be of that nature. I used to think, like, people who say, oh my God, everybody's jealous of me. Everybody's jealous of me. I used to think that people who said that were full of shit. And just, like, I don't know. Some of them are full of shit. Some people who do say that are full of shit. But I'm not. I mean, you can believe whatever you want. I don't care. But I'm not. I'm being so dead ass. Like, along my journey, I've noticed so many people who either looking back or like, well, I mean, I guess all I can do is look back. I can't necessarily travel in time per se. But looking back on a lot of situations, there were people who were so jealous of me and so, like, envious of me. And I'm not saying that it's never a good idea. It's never a good thing to be the object of someone's jealousy. Like, I don't think that's ever a good thing. When you understand energetics and when you understand, like, the laws of the universe, like, you understand that that's not a pleasant energy to have someone throw at you. You know, it might signify, like, I think the part that a lot of people get off on is it signifies that somebody cares enough to feel a negative emotion towards you. Someone looks at you as good enough to be coveted. But it's like, people do some weird things when they're existing in that energy, you know. And if you happen to be someone who is dealing with jealousy, if you're watching this in the hopes of, like, trying to push through your jealousy, good for you, because a lot of people don't really try to do that work to, like, figure out why they're feeling that way and how to, like, navigate in a healthy way. Like, most people just kind of feel it and just move with that feeling, you know. I think it sucks that people would even feel this way about me specifically, because most of the people that I've observed it with, if I can say it like that, most of the people that I've observed it with have been people who were very talented and very, like, unique people, like, people that I personally was, like, looking up to in a way. Not necessarily, well, usually when the jealousy energy gets involved, then it kind of, like, takes them down a peg, honestly. Like, when people reveal jealous traits or, like, reveal themselves to be jealous or envious or just, like, a hater, it really does, like, ruin the reputation for me. I can't see the person the same way, because it's like, you got X, Y, and Z, you're in a pretty good position in your life, and you have the audacity, you have the gall to look at somebody else and be like, I wish I had what they have. Why don't I have what they have? Like, you're miserable. I'm sorry. Again, if you're the type of person who is experiencing these feelings and you're watching this video in the hopes of, like, becoming better and doing better, then good for you. You're an outlier. Not to post this immediately after recording, so I don't know exactly when I'm going to post this. And that being said, there's somebody that's in my life, that's been in my life, that I started to notice exhibits traits of, like, jealousy. Like, self-sabotaging, you know, demeaning comments, interpreting my actions as being malicious. Like, there's so many signs, there's so many, like, pieces of evidence that I've, like, found within this connection. And I'm trying to figure out how exactly I want to move about it. I kind of really just want to dead the situation. I really just want to say deuces. But the gratitude part within me is like, maybe we shouldn't, because he's helped us so much, and, like, he's gonna feel upset about it. He's gonna be upset if you walk away for whatever reason. But we're currently not talking. We're currently on a break. because of me, because I'm the communicator in this situation. I'm the healthy communicator. I'm the mature one. you know, and it's wild. Once again, what some people will do when they're in their hater energy. Piece of advice, a big piece of advice for you, if you're dealing with people who are hating on you, being jealous of you, whatever, is not to take their actions personal. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't protect yourself. I'm not saying you shouldn't defend yourself. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be smart about the situation. But just know that anything that they ever do to you is not personal. And that actually is like a general rule of thumb for life. Like, don't take anybody's actions personal. Like, if somebody's kind to you, it's most likely just a reflection of who they are. It has nothing to do with you specifically. Like, and vice versa. When somebody's mean to you, it has nothing to do with you. It is a reflection of how they see themselves, how they see the world, you know? Like, a lot of people say, oh, well, the way people treat you is a reflection of how they feel about you. And it's like, yeah, sure, to some degree, but it's, to go even deeper than that, it's a reflection of how they feel about themselves. You know what I mean? Because when you understand energy, when you understand, like, what you put out into the universe comes back to you, then, like, you understand that these people are just unaware of that. They just do not have that understanding of the world. Like, because when you understand that, you don't go around being mean to people, you don't go around pushing people around, you don't go around belittling people, because you know, once again, that shit is going to come back to you at some point. You can believe whatever you want to believe. If you don't want to believe in, like, you know, cause and effect, I guess don't believe in that, but that's one of the universal laws. Like, you do something and then something else happens. You know, you do something and then something else might not happen, you know? I love playing the blame game, but if there was any actual blame to be had, it would be towards the system. It would be towards the overlords, the people who hold the most power in our society, because they're the ones who use tactics to make other people afraid, to make people uncertain about their future, etc., so that they can maintain control. And, you know, it is what it is. You don't blame a shark for being a shark. You don't blame a wolf for being a wolf. It is what it is. But you, person, individual watching, hello, and that the poor behaviors of others, and even the rich behaviors, even the good behaviors of others, is not something to be taken personal, because people are just doing what they feel is necessary for themselves. 9 times out of 10. Like, using myself as an example, I know most of the time I have pure intentions. I have good intentions for other people, but part of the reasoning behind that is because I know the law of cause and effect. I know that what I put out into the universe will come back to me. So I choose to be kind to people. I choose to be patient with people, because ideally I would want someone to be patient and kind with me, you know? And so, like, and some people philosophically say, you know, all is one, we're all connected. I am you, you are me. So, like, treat me as if you were me. Treat everyone as if they were you, you know? And that is a way to look at it. Like, what you put out into the universe comes back to you. So if you're treating a stranger on the street with unkindness and maliciousness, I could have said that better, but you know what I mean? If you're treating someone like that, you're treating an extension of yourself that way. You're treating yourself poorly, you know? And if you don't mind being shitty to yourself, then whatever, do you, bro. But that's the way I see it. That's the way I look at it, you know? Talked about in a previous video, what does it mean to be abundant? And in that video, I talked about haters and jealous people and stuff, and how when you're abundant, when you're in your abundant energy, you will have people look at you, and, like, instead of taking notes, they will, you know, try to sabotage. They will, like, throw their feelings onto you and just be overall, like, disgusting, you know? But it's not a personal attack. It is just them feeling like they've been wronged in some way, you know? For the flip side, for those of you, when you are experiencing jealousy, when you are experiencing envy, the number one thing is that you're supposed to take notes. You're supposed to, like, whatever is the object of your feelings, you're supposed to, like, take notes and, like, understand it more, and, like, allow it to help you understand yourself. Because, like some people say, philosophically, poetically, everything is a reflection. Everything is you mirrored back. And so if you're looking at someone, or if you're looking at something and there's unpleasant parts about it, there's unpleasant bits, to some degree, you can look back at yourself and be like, okay, what is this saying about me? What can I learn from this, you know? But most people don't go around doing that. Most people don't go around being like, what is the lesson here? What can I take away from this? They're just like, oh, fuck, my car broke down. That sucks. I guess I'll call a repairman. There's no, you know what I mean? And it's no judgment, it's no shame, but, like, what I talked about in the abundance video is that, like, you have to have the mindset that, like, wherever you are, there's something to be taken away, there's something to be cultivated, there's something to be created. You know, if you're a songwriter, there's always something to be writing about. There's always a feeling to be had, and so therefore always something to be created. You know, if you're a painter, I'm not much of a painter. I've been painting. I have actually some things on Etsy right now. Like, I don't really know how that translates to painting because I don't really have the mind of a painter, but there's always something to be taken away. There's always some wisdom to be cultivated. There's always some like story, some testimony to be cultivated. It's just a matter of you looking at it that way and understanding that and not getting mad because somebody else has what you want, or because, you know, it's like, and if I'm talking to someone who is irrationally holding jealousy or envy, you're probably not going to connect the dots. Your cognitive dissonance probably is already activated and you're not listening to a gosh darn thing I'm saying. And that's totally fine. We all go at our own pace. But either way, I'm making this video for anybody who's dealing with jealous or hateful people, or someone who finds himself feeling a lot of jealous or hateful feelings. Whether or not we want to believe it, all of us are vessels. All of us have the capacity to hold negative feelings. And when you embrace that, when you understand that, when you take the wisdom from it, it makes you a lot stronger of a person. So don't be one of those people who just go around, you know, just vibing with their feelings, ignoring their feelings, projecting their feelings on others. Like, no. Understand that there's always something to be taken away. There's always a lesson to be had, you know. And ultimately, I do hope that this video was helpful. Hope this was useful to you. And I'm going to say a couple more things because I feel like I have a little bit to say about this topic because I've dealt with it so much. I think my problem, though, is when it comes to this topic and expanding this topic is that usually it's something I have to look back at. Like, it's something that I look back at in reflection and I'm like, oh, that's what that was. That was jealousy. That was somebody sipping on haterade, you know? And in this moment, that someone can be jealous of you, someone can be envious of you, and still have a lot of love for you and still care for you and want the best for you. Those are not mutually exclusive things, but I will say, a lot of the times, if someone is operating with their jealousy, if someone is operating on these negative feelings, it is very necessary for you to be mindful of how much you interact with these people and how much you exchange energies with these people. Because in one way or another, they will bring you down if you allow them, you know, because it's arguable whether or not the subconscious mind or the conscious mind is more powerful, because most of our mind is the subconscious mind. Most of our mind is what we cannot like consciously perceive, if that makes sense. And so if someone's consciously going around and being jealous or malicious, that's something to be mindful extra hard, because that means that they're actively aware of like what they're doing and what they're putting out into the world. But when it's subconscious, I think that can be a lot more dangerous because they don't realize what they're doing. They're not purposely going out and like being malicious or being harmful, but the subconscious mind is powerful as fuck. It's literally like 95%, I believe, of like our mind's workings. And so if someone doesn't have an awareness of that and that aspect of themselves, but they feel it, then it can be a lot more dangerous, because then they're like subconsciously doing things and like secretly, even to themselves, are doing things that are like harmful, you know? At the end of the day, who are you, who am I to really decide whether or not someone is conscious of something or not? Like, if somebody actively says, oh, I'm not jealous or I'm not feeling that way, ideally you're supposed to kind of take them at face value. Obviously intuition is a thing, and if you know better, then do better. But like, you know, a lot of people are not consciously aware of like what they're feeling. A lot of people just feel things and then just act accordingly, you know what I mean? You got to be careful about these types of people. You got to be careful about these feelings that people hold, you know, because to someone who's not super aware of themselves or aware of their impact, it can be so dangerous mingling with these people and exchanging energies with these people, you know? I don't really love talking about it. I don't really love dwelling on certain situations, but I've had a plethora of situations where somebody has seemingly purposely, and I say seemingly because I don't know what their true intentions were, but it seemed as though they were purposely like trying to sabotage me in different ways. Like I remember one time I was supposed to be staying over at someone's house. This was at a time where I was like actually very homeless. Like I was like shelters. I was at the shelter. I was like sleeping on the streets, etc., etc. And there was this person who was also technically homeless. I met them at the shelter, I believe, and I was supposed to be staying with them. And I think I had my stuff there, and I had my stuff there, and I went out for a walk. It was only supposed to be like a little walk, but then I ended up being out, I think, for like the entire night or something like that, or like for a few hours. Like I was definitely out longer than I was supposed to be, and it was because that person that I was supposed to be staying with didn't answer their phone calls, they didn't answer their texts, and they claimed that their phone was dead. I don't know what the actual truth was. My intuition tells me things, but I don't know for sure, because I wanted to believe the best about this person. I wanted to believe that this person was like Gucci, you know? But looking back on the situation, I definitely recognize that they held a lot of like jealousy for me. And it was crazy because like I had tried on multiple occasions to like impart wisdom upon them and try to like, you know, just be a good friend, I guess, because that's what I try to do. And yeah, it was that moment where I was just like, oh my God, what the fuck? And like, I don't know, I kind of skirted past the situation. Like after it was resolved, after I was let back inside the house, I kind of just let it go, you know? And it was just, it is what it is. And looking back on it, I can definitely be like, oh yeah, that person was definitely feeling some type of way about me. As I like am recalling situations in my life, I'm thinking of this one person. We'll call him D, because his name started with a D. This was a fellow that also, another thing before I get into this, a side note, one thing that really grinds my gears so much, this person was younger than me, but one thing that grinds my gears so much is when you're experiencing the haterade from someone who is like older than you, or like has like accomplished, or seemingly accomplished more than you. You know, it's like, sir, you have a whole house and kids and like a mortgage, and you're like over here hating on me. Like, what? Like, you would hope, you would think, you would wish that people who have experienced more life would just naturally have more wisdom and more wherewithal, but sometimes time and experience does nothing for people. Some people do not learn. Anyways, there was this one individual, we'll call him D, and he was a musician. I'm a musician, and he was also a Pisces, which my birth chart, I got some issues with Pisces, to be honest, but he was a Pisces, and I thought he was really cool. I thought he was really, you know, really chill. But looking back, and even within the moment, I can like gauge that he was like a pretty jealous person for whatever reason. I can think of a couple reasons, but once again, I don't like putting myself on that pedestal and being like, oh, well, of course people would be jealous of me. Like, I just understand that that's a reflection of how they see the world. That has nothing to do with me, you know? But regardless, this D character, I thought he was really chill. I thought he was really cool. He was actually younger than me. I think he was like 19 or 20 or something like that. And so I want to be very clear when I say this. I do not try to take on the role of being a teacher or being a guide when it comes to my friendships. Like, when it comes to me being a friend to somebody, that is not my first role that I like shift through, like, at all. Like, it might come out if I feel like they need some guidance, if they consent to getting my guidance, but me being a friend does not include me being a guide to people, you know? But that being said, I feel like because he was younger and because there was a little bit of that energy, I did play that role subconsciously. Yeah, I definitely feel like I played that role subconsciously a little bit for him. Out of like respecting that and like appreciating that he kind of, like, through his actions just really was disrespectful and like, and it's like, and this was a person, once again, I thought he was so talented. I thought he was so chill, and I didn't mind telling him that. I didn't mind hyping him up, but it was never that sort of energy directed towards me. It was never sort of like, oh, you're so cool, I think you're so cool. Like, it was just kind of like, oh, you're here, we're here in the same place together, and he was also homeless. Like, because I feel like I always tell about these stories and I don't really give proper details sometimes. He was also homeless. We were both homeless. I met him at the shelter specifically. I remember specifically we were in line together. We were waiting for something and we just started talking. One thing led to another. And yeah. And I feel like this also leads into the karmic energies and stuff like that. Like, this isn't what this video is about. Maybe that's another video, but definitely it was like a karmic situation to some extent, because my needs were not being met, my desires were not being met, and I don't know if he even really knew what he truly wanted in the connection. Like, I'm talking platonically. I consider him to be a friend, but there was a little bit of sexual tension that was in the atmosphere between us, at least on my end. But my self-concept is pretty decent. I know that I'm hot. I know that I'm cute. I know that I'm sexy. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I know these things about myself. And there was definitely a lot of sexual tension between us. And I don't know, he was also, like, apparently he was celibate. He said he was celibate. I don't think that was true, because there were several moments where he was, like, exposed to be, like, freak leaking with somebody, or, like, doing something that he shouldn't have been doing somewhere that he shouldn't have been doing it. That was, like, a thing that happened a few times with him. And yeah, so sorry, one second. That's jealousy, envy. His jealousy led him to, whether it was subconscious or conscious, it led him to, like, sort of competing with me and sabotaging me. Because once again, we were both musicians, and the library that we existed at, or we existed near, whatever, however you want to say that, was a really cool library. I would love to go back to that place, actually. It had a lot of amenities, and one of them being a studio, like a fully working studio that you could have 2 hours a day on. If they really like you and they're flexible with you, maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes, whatever, if nobody else comes in, however long, it doesn't really matter. But you get a certain amount of time every day to be in the studio. And I cherish that. I love that so much. Like, it's one of the reasons why I went back to the state. Like, even though I was, like, homeless and I knew I was going to be homeless, that was one of the things why I went back to the state, because I wanted to use the studio and make more music. And this person, I think he was the one who put me on to the studio. I could be wrong about that. I don't think he did. I don't know. This was, like, one of the first people that I got, like, close to when I was over in that state. This happened in Indiana, by the way, if I had to explain. But, he would, like, I don't know, like, once again, I don't know if it was conscious or subconscious, but sometimes he would do things that kind of, like, wasted my time a little bit. Like, he was very good at wasting my time sometimes. And then so sometimes I would kind of miss out on studio time, because I'd be hanging out with him. And then, and it was just this whole thing of, like, me allowing him to sabotage me allowing him to, like, get in my head, Be clear when I say this. We all have ego. We all have an ego. And the purpose of the ego is to protect us. Like, lovingly protect us. People hear the word ego and they get offended. And they're like, oh, you're calling me big-headed. You're saying you're... And, like, no. An ego is just the personality protectant. That's basically what it is. That if you develop a good ego, if you develop a good self-concept, then you will manifest really good. And one thing about him is that he was a really good manifester. Like, he ended up actually, as far as I'm aware, because who knows actually what happened, but as far as I'm aware, he ended up manifesting, like, a sort of sugar daddy. Also, once again, this dude claimed that he was straight. I don't know if I said that before. That was, like, a contention between us, that he claimed to be straight. and X, Y, and Z. But he ended up manifesting a sugar daddy of sorts, and like moving out of the state with him, like going out of the state to the dude's house. And apparently that state, Indiana, where we were, was where he was born. So that was like a pretty big thing, I guess. Yeah, I don't know all the details. I don't know. Like, I have to imagine that, I don't know. I don't want to like make assumptions or like project anything onto him, but I would have to imagine that he's definitely not having the best time. I feel like he's definitely not in the best place. I don't know. Once again, I don't mean to project onto anyone. You know, officially, I wish him the best. I hope that he's doing well, but I doubt it. You know, because the kind of mindset that he had when I knew him, it was just like, what? Like, he prioritized validation over like genuine like progress, and like it was just like it was just a lot, you know. And we had other friends, and I feel like they were jealous of me as well, and it was just like this whole mess of a situation. And I don't know, throughout my entire time in that state, like, I definitely dealt with a lot of different types of people, and a lot of those people were very jealous, very envious. And it is what it is. I ain't mad about it. It is what it is. But, like, you really got to be careful about who you allow into your energy and who you allow to, like, mix with your energy. Because, like, some people might even mean well, but, like, their demon's too damn strong, you know what I mean? So, ultimately, once again, I hope this video was helpful. I hope this was useful. And if it was, you should definitely engage with the video. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, you can definitely check me out in the link tree. Recently published an ebook if you want to check that out. And yeah, I appreciate you. Deuces.